everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, June 23rd, 2024. Wow! Congratulations, Josh Morrow, for 30 years on The Young and the Restless, playing the role of Nicholas. That really is a remarkable accomplishment in an industry where characters and actors come and go all the time. He is the original adult Nick, too. No other adult has actually played that role. I mean, Victoria has been recast. Even Nikki is a recast, but nobody has played that role like Josh Morrow, and I feel like Y&R gave him such an excellent and enjoyable tribute show on Friday. Whoever put that together really dug deep, and after doing the Y&R Chat flashback episodes of my own, I have a new appreciation for how challenging it is to go back and find just the right clips from, I mean, in this case, 30 years of material, and then to write a framework of an episode around those clips. It's incredible, and I feel like we got a lot of clips that only ever aired once. Some of the stuff we've seen before, we've seen plenty of the Arabian Nights and Cassie's death, but some of those things, Nick and Sharon in the truck together, I don't think that's ever been shown again since it originally aired in 1994. I started watching Y&R in 1993. Josh Morrow started out as Nick on the show in 1994. So honestly, this particular collection of clips for me felt like I was watching my Y&R. I wasn't watching way back in the 70s and 80s when a lot of you guys first started watching. For me, Nick and his journey has been very forefront for the entire time that I've watched the show. So those memories that we saw on Friday were my earliest memories of the show. So it meant a lot to me. And it was great to see everyone, Nikki, Victor, Nick, Victoria, Sharon, everyone has changed so much. Victor has changed, Nikki's changed, Sharon has really changed. But one thing that struck me is that Nick is really very much the same. There was this one clip where Victor was kind of saying goodbye to Nick, and he said, "All right, stay cool." And Nick just did this little head bob, and he said, "I'm always cool." And I thought, that is so Nick. You know, that is the same Nick of today that I'm seeing 30 years ago. So much of him is still the same. Just again, congratulations to Josh Morrow, and thank you, Y&R, for giving me carpal tunnel syndrome trying to screen cap all of these incredible flashback memory moments that were presented on Friday, because literally every 10 seconds I had to stop and go back and get the perfect moment in a screen cap, which you guys can see at yrchat.com. I really hope you get a chance to go and look at the photos that I was able to get from that episode, because it was really great, and there was just so much to see and look at, and it took me 2 hours to get through that single episode, no joke, because I was just screen capping everything. So good. The whole episode was framed around Faith's return, and it was really, really nice to see her. I was kind of shocked that her hair is much darker. It's very brown now. I always think of Faith as being a blonde, but she looked great in her grief. How could that sweet boy Moses break her heart? I'm just thinking of that cute little sweet curly-haired boy Moses. How could he be a heartbreaker? He wanted to play the field, is what it all boils down to. And there was this great moment where Faith looked at Nick and Sharon and said, "Why are men such jerks?" Cut to Nick's guilty face. Oh, those Nick and Sharon flashbacks were comprehensive. I mean, Y&R told us the whole story of Nick and Sharon, and they didn't leave anything out. I was seriously impressed because everything was there exactly as I remember it. Them dating, Nikki's disapproval of Sharon, the whole Matt Clark debacle, Sharon's lies about Cassie, Cassie's inclusion into the family, Cassie's death. Can't even watch those scenes. I was literally like, I want this to be over. I want this to be over. I want this to be over. It just took me right back to the couch I was sitting on in the apartment I was living in at the time when Cassie died. And then we saw the affairs, Noah and Faith's births, and the last wedding that Nick and Sharon never ended up accomplishing. It was all there, perfectly highlighted. The only thing that was a huge part of Nick's life that felt a little underrepresented was Phyllis. I mean, the scene in the stable was like OMG. I mean, they were just getting to know each other, and then him coming into her apartment and them kissing for the first time, and then that little monkey, that's, you know, evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkey. I mean, that was there. It was there. But it was just proportionate to the Sharon flashbacks, and there was nothing about Summer's birth. I mean, I know that they could not cover everything, clearly. It just felt so heavily weighted toward Nick and Sharon's relationship that Phyllis felt a little left out. And maybe they would have included her, but I think I read somewhere that Michelle Stafford broke an ankle or a foot or something. Sorry, I'm not exactly clear, but I think she had some kind of injury, which is why she's not around right now, and so maybe that's why the focus was where it was. Oh, but you guys, the scene where Sharon was wearing the same lingerie that she saw Phyllis buy, knowing that she and Nick were having an affair, and then putting on that lingerie to confront him about it. The current writers need to take note, because that was so freaking scandalous and so freaking compelling and so good. Oh, gosh. A long time ago, I think it was Gary who said to me that soaps are about secrets kept and then secrets revealed. And that moment of the secret of Nick and Phyllis's affair being, you know, Sharon finding out about it and then revealing it to him, I mean, that really fit the bill. And I don't understand why the show isn't like that anymore. It's just so much different. It seems like, I don't know, like maybe Y&R doesn't want to do affairs anymore. Why don't we get affairs anymore? I want to see my characters behaving badly. I think we need to get a good affair going, a good betrayal going. I mean, yeah, Daniel and Heather did have an affair, but Daniel and Lily weren't married. Not that that makes a huge difference, but it didn't pack the punch. The Nick and Sharon and Phyllis triangle was heavy, and it made the fans crazy. And I guess that's what I'm wanting from Y&R, for storylines to be so scandalous that it drives me crazy. How can this be? Say it ain't so, Y&R. Say it ain't so. Trevor St. John is leaving Y&R. Tucker is leaving Genoa City. I don't accept this. Someone better turn this car around right now and go get him back. I just don't know that I can live without him. Can you? I mean, is it? Let's do a poll here for the week. Do you think it's good news or bad news that Trevor St. John is leaving Y&R, that we're not going to be having the role of Tucker anymore? Do you like Tucker? Do you dislike Tucker? Are you happy to see him go? Go to yrchat.com this week and cast your vote. You don't have to agree with me, but to me, Trevor St. John is just so good. Even if the material isn't there, the actor is so compelling. And I'm hoping that it was his choice to leave the show, because if Y&R let him go on purpose, that feels like such a huge mistake. He is funny and wry, and he can be heartbreaking and everything in between. It's just such a letdown. At this point, I think I'd rather see just about anyone go besides him. He's so integral. He's just really boosted the show. His mere presence has boosted the show for me right now. But I don't know, I'm bummed. But at least I guess he's going out with a bang. Of course he was faking the heart attack. Of course he was faking. It's the best stall tactic. But I couldn't help thinking, what if he wasn't faking? Like, it so easily could have gone the other way. And can you imagine if Tucker was in the middle of having a heart attack and Audra barged into his room, pestering him, badgering him, telling his attending physician that he's lying, he's faking? I mean, the Tucker fans would have filleted her. They would have put her on a stick and roasted her over a campfire. But she was right. She was right. She just knows him. She knows him. I did enjoy Tucker stuffing the wad of euros into the doctor's hand and like shuffling him out the door and into the hallway like it was no big deal. Tucker is such a well-played scoundrel. He is a dirty, rotten scoundrel, and I love him. But ultimately it didn't work. His little trick didn't work because Audra stopped by to check on him a little bit later, and he just gave in. He said, all right, okay, fine, you win. And I don't know if that means that those were his final scenes. Is he coming back for more? Is there going to be any more? It almost doesn't seem like it, because we also had Victor talking to Devon in the park saying, well, I don't think Tucker's coming back. So, I don't know. Is that it? Meh. Well, two other very noteworthy Tucker moments. Number one, he shows up to Ashley's apartment and he has a very unexpected heart-to-heart with Tracy. And Tracy actually thanked him for the role he played in helping Ashley. She actually apologized to him, and she said that she doesn't doubt that he truly cares about Ashley. But then she also told him that maybe it's time to just let go, to move on, and to let Ashley move on. And he really seemed to understand that and accept that, and that felt very final too. I don't know. I was really expecting all of the childhood stuff with Ashley would end up being a red herring, but it seems like Y&R is planning to unpack it. So Ashley may be on a whole new path, I guess. Who knows? Who knows? Path is certainly not going to lead back to Tucker, though. Not at this time. The other noteworthy Tucker moment was when Tucker confronted Jack, and Tucker was so certain that Jack was the secret investor that Audra was working with. And Jack just looked at Tucker like, you're delusional. I have better things to do than to try to one-up you. I'm here to help my sister. Because, yeah, now Jack's finally taking the time to check in with the Ashley situation in person. And isn't it really very great to have all of the Abbotts together in Paris? This is like our summer vacation in Paris at Ashley's chic pink pad. I never would have thought that we would still be there, because it's been maybe 3 weeks now that we've been hanging out at Ashley's place, but it's phenomenal. It is such a breath of fresh air. It's a breath of fresh vacation air from the usual sets. Thank you, Y&R, for building that for us to give us something different visually. And maybe it's going to continue, because now Abby has been brought up to speed on what's going on with Ashley, and she said that she's going to be joining soon too, maybe with Devon. Yeah, Abby has been totally isolated from all of the drama surrounding her mother, and she told Billy that she is very offended to have been left out. But honestly, as a mom, I wouldn't want my daughter to be anywhere near involved in my mental health issues. And having a mother with mental health issues, it's a miracle that Abby didn't get dragged into all of the drama. It's actually very rare that she wouldn't have been just dragged into it and hating it the whole time. So to me, it feels like mercy that Abby wasn't involved. But I can also understand her perspective and just feeling left out. And I am looking forward to seeing what her reaction will continue to be. I'm looking forward to seeing how she looks in the cute little pink apartment, having some tea with the Tracy from the little pink tea set. Pink tea with Ashley and pink tea with Tracy. I'm looking forward to Tracy probably being the one to really bring Abby up to speed. And when Tracy finally tells Abby about Alan, I'm wondering if Abby is going to cue in on the fact that maybe there's a little something more going on there, because there really seems to be. Tracy and Alan are together a lot. I mean, they said they had lunch together, and then they made dinner plans too. So lunch and dinner. And then we all know that dinner usually turns into sex. That's how it goes. Lunch, then dinner, then sex. I am thrilled to see that Audra immediately realized that her flawless plan had some pretty heavy strings attached. She fought so hard to wrestle Glissade away from Tucker, only to immediately turn around and realize that now she has a new master, and Victor Newman is the worst master to have. That blew up in her face. That backfired on her immediately. Tucker offered her the CEO position and his board seat, and Victor immediately pulled a bait and switch on her, told her the best that she could have was a co-CEO position with her ex-boyfriend, Kyle. I don't know. Something about this I don't like. I was kind of hoping that Victor would change his mind about wanting Adam to run Newman Media and instead send Adam to Glissade with Audra, because I think that an Audra, Adam, Sally triangle would be worth watching, because I mean, the few scenes that they've had together, Audra and Adam had chemistry, and since Audra and Sally are friends, it would be so icky and so sticky and so good. But no, Victor wants Adam's dubious ethics to go to work at Newman Media. Ugh, man. Because I feel like Adam running a competing cosmetics company against Jack and Kyle would also be really good. It's just so much better than isolating Adam at Newman Media and then having Kyle leave Jabot like a brat, all because he has some kind of superiority complex over his mommy. Ugh. No, this is wrong direction. Glissade would be a really fresh project for Adam. Working with Audra, making Sally jealous. From an entertaining perspective, I think that would be amazing. But, I mean, from a parenting perspective, Adam's dealing with a sick kid right now. And Victor wants him to be the general in his army against Jack. It's just so tone deaf. Totally tone deaf to the fact that his son is going through something with his son. Again, this situation with Connor really would have been such a great opportunity for some bonding between Victor and Adam, and instead it's just so insensitive. And then to basically kick Nikki out of Newman Media when she had such a great pitch, such a great idea. She actually got Victoria to agree to return to work, and they were going to work side by side as a Mommy and Me team. No. Victor just shot it all down coldly. It's just not right. Oh, Connor ate soup. Can you believe it? Connor ate soup and it was good. Good. I am so happy for Connor. Soup is great, especially tomato, but that tomato soup is loaded with calories, so I hope his doctors are also keeping an eye on his blood sugar. Okay. In other mental health news, Sharon is back, and she's a little edgy. First of all, she was way manic about butting in on Adam and Chelsea talking about Connor's progress, celebrating Connor's progress. And it wasn't that she joined into the conversation, because Sharon has been involved in that conversation. It wasn't that she joined in. It was how over the top she was in that conversation. She was giving facial expressions. She was doing this baby voice. And she even did this like thing to the universe, like she was a freaking guru or something. It was a lot. And then in complete contrast, later she was on the phone with some poor Cassidy First associate. I mean, I haven't even heard the name Cassidy First in so long. When they said the name, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about Cassidy First. She's on the phone with someone with her business, and she's yelling at them. And she's being very un-Zen-like, very un-guru-like, very un-Sharon-like. So we saw two pretty wild mood swings there. And then when Nick comes around the corner, questions her about her phone call, she tells him that she's been having bipolar episodes and that she's working with her doctor to get her meds adjusted. So I don't know what that means for Sharon, but I did see some blurb somewhere that said something about that Sharon is going to have a really big front burner storyline this summer. So I'm just going to be buckling my safety belt because it could get crazy. That Johnny really knows how to dig in and ask the questions that need to be asked. He was like, what was it like in the mental institution, crazy new sister? Boom! There was no hi, no how are ya. Johnny just cut the fat and went straight for the meat, and I like that about him. In fact, I forgot how much I actually really like Johnny. He really is Billy's son. He's got that wry sense of humor. And by the way, I absolutely loved that little conversation that he had with his mother about how phones used to be attached to the wall. Oh, there was no video chats back in the day, no texting. You actually had to interact with people. Ew. Gross. So good. So good. Well, when we saw the previews last week of Victoria introducing Johnny and Katie to Claire, I thought, okay, all right, sure. But then when I actually watched those scenes, I thought they were some of the best scenes of the week. And I really didn't expect to feel that way. When Claire showed up on screen, in whatever in the heck she was wearing, I mean, what in the heck was she wearing? It was the snottiest, little frilliest, wafiest little blouse that I have ever seen. It's something that Victoria would have worn, by the way. But when Claire first showed up standing there in that blouse with the gifts in her hand, looking like she just stepped off the prairie, I thought, ugh, God, Claire is so goody two-shoes. I could puke right now. But then I completely flipped around because to see her get crushed by Johnny and Katie's reaction to her and then needing to hold it together, doing her best to take responsibility not only for the things that she has done, but for the things that Jordan has done, it really put me into the position of mentally defending Claire to these newcomers that just kind of came onto my screen right now. And that just turned me right around because suddenly I was in Claire's corner. I was saying, come on, you guys, don't just be bratty teens. Give the girl a chance. She's trying here, and she's got gifts for you, for crying out loud. Claire was really trying. She was really trying. And it hurt me to see her get hurt. And now that's not to say that I don't totally understand Johnny and Katie's perspective. Johnny was kind of flip about it all, which was great. But Katie was very authentic in her teen angst. I mean, at 11 years old, all she knows is that her house was burned to the ground along with everything she owns. And it was by someone who is associated with this crazy new sister who just crawled out of the woodwork and now is monopolizing all of Mom's time. And now Katie has to adjust to this whole new house and a whole new room that was a nursery 5 minutes ago when she's wanting to feel more like an adult. And it probably doesn't help that Victoria and Claire decorated the room for her. I mean, I think it probably would have been nice to let Katie decorate her own room, like give her a summer decorating project for, to make her feel at home, to make her make the place her own. But no, I think that just fueled it. It wasn't handled perfectly, it's hard to do. It's hard to do when you got 3 kids. But, there's some work to do here. Victoria's got some work to do, and she's trying. And I think Claire's got a whole lot of work to do, too. If she tries to treat Katie the way that she treats Harrison, she's going to lose. Because Katie is not going to be pacified with duck jokes. Wow, how mature of Lily and Daniel to come to an agreement about the Princess Louisa game on the date of the arbitration. All these weeks of sort of fighting, and then they both happened to come to the same conclusion at the same time to just let it go. Boring. Are you kidding me? What a total fizzle. That is the fizzle that I've had in a while. It's just too much fizzle for my fizzle and my nizzle. I'm sorry. I suppose I should say, yay, good job, guys. Way to be adults. But I don't want to see my characters doing the right thing. I want a bitter court battle. I want the bitter court battle driven by Lily's feelings of betrayal. Give me something to sink my teeth into. But now I guess it just looks like Lily is dumping the Daniel drama in favor of the Billy drama. And I don't know what that means for Daniel's presence on the show. Because if Daniel doesn't have a company and he doesn't have a girlfriend who's a main character, I really can't see any future for him. They're not going to keep Heather and Daniel around. Y&R is not going to bring Heather and Daniel on and develop a story for them when they've clearly got new stories, new directions in the works. In fact, I went to Soaps in Depth to find out if there was any news of Michael Graziadei leaving Y&R, and that's when I found out about Trevor St. John leaving Y&R. Ugh. Oh well, I can't control any of this, so I have to let it go. I have to move on to new dramas. But I feel like Y&R is going to have some work to do to get me on board with Billy's bid for control. Because it's just, I guess the thing is, if Billy just decided that he wanted power, I could understand that. Being power hungry is a great common trait in this town. What bugs me is that he's kind of using Jill's illness as an excuse to get it. The whole Jill's legacy line of reasoning is just a complete miss for me. I wish that Billy would just say, I want this for me. That I could respect. I don't know. I do like the Billy versus Devon feud with Lily stuck in the middle. Because Devon is so paranoid all the time. And now he's all worked up thinking that Lily is going to betray him and team up with Billy. Even though she has told him that she's pretty much being an operative right now. She's agreeing to this fake partnership on the terms that they're going to split Chancellor Winters into Chancellor and Winters. It's going to be let Devon have the Winters part, and then Lily and Billy can run Abbott Chancellor. Well, why would Billy buy that Lily is willing to go through with a power grab and then not really grab any real power for herself? What's she care what company she's the CEO of? When it boils right down to it, Lily is neither an Abbott or a Chancellor. So of course she's tricking you, Billy. Of course she would want to work with the Winters. She's a Winters. But Devon, for some reason, just suddenly does not fully trust that. And I guess it's just because he does not trust Billy. And it makes sense because Billy and Devon are such opposites. They're such like two totally opposite guys, but they both need a lesson in humility. And so I think that part should be interesting. I just wish there was something new in the mix here, because what's in the name of the business drama, the drama it's just always like this phantom business drama. It's hard for me to get into it. I need something or someone tangible to fight over. I don't know. Where is this summer music festival that we were promised in my mind? We put the fun in dysfunction. That's such a great catchphrase. So many people guessed that it was Kyle. He was talking to Victor, kind of summarizing the state of the Abbott family. We put the fun in dysfunction. Oh my goodness. Congratulations, Dolores, Michelle, Tanya, Brittany, Juanita, Sheila, Victoria, Brent, Henry, Daisy, Justin, Tommy, wonderful Wendy, Tony Tom, Ron, Lara, and Tony. You guys caught that great moment. But I think this one's going to be harder. Who said it? Free hugs available. Free hugs available. Aww. If you think you know who said that, you should go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, then I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. All right, finally, on to your comments, starting with Diana, who says, I love the scene where Victor was speaking with Devon at the park, and he was telling Devon that he just watched his grandson's soccer game. He said that he scored the winning goal, just like Ronaldo. Devon then repeated what Victor said, and I was very pleasantly surprised, as we very rarely hear characters talk about sports or real-life athletes. I found this to be refreshing, as the characters are always talking about business, relationships, or scheming. It felt like a natural and realistic conversation that is relative to what's going on in real life currently, as the Euro Cup has just started. Someone on Y&R is a Ronaldo soccer fan and thought it was worth having the great Victor Newman mention his name. Yes, Diana, great comment. I'm so glad that you said this, because, yeah, I'm not really familiar with soccer, but I do know that Eric Braeden is. So maybe it was him that came up with the idea to say that. But you're right in that moment connected Y&R into what's actually going on in the world today. That made it feel very current. Like, we all hear him talk about business, but, we never see him watching TV. So I just love that moment that, that it sort of connected. It made the characters a little bit more real. Like, oh yeah, they're following. They got their own stories and sports and shows and things that they follow too. Daisy says, I'm still hoping Devon will take his company and leave the merger. But if Lily goes along with Billy and tries to push Devon out, then I hope he can turn things around and oust both Lily and Billy. I'm sure he would be able to assure Jill that her legacy will be honored and not pushed aside. I think, though, that the best thing for both companies is Devon. Oh, wow. Okay. That seems cut off. Maybe, I don't know if I copied that correctly or not, but that's interesting. So at the end of the day, do you guys think that Lily is siding with Billy? I mean, I guess maybe that's the question. Is Lily being genuine when she's telling Devon that she's kind of an operative going undercover with Billy, or is she being genuine with Billy and interested in actually partnering with him? So that seed of doubt is there. Where do you fall on the fence? Well, Tanya says, I really liked the conversation between Lily and Daniel. It was nice. I'm glad they finally came to an agreement and that the lawsuit is over. Connie says, Daniel and Lily resolving the lawsuit amicably was a very satisfying resolution for me. Lily admitted that the firings were an overreaction to her emotions. Daniel admitted that he had emotionally outgrown the attachment to the game character. And they were both able to put aside the anger and hurt of a breakup, admit their mistakes, and move forward professionally and personally. I'm glad that a lifelong friendship was respected over a business contract. Oh, you're right. You're definitely right in that, you know what, Lily and Daniel have gone through it together. They've been childhood friends. It's probably better that they ended things amicably. I'm just such a drama hog. I just want that drama. That's what I'm here for. Well, this is the 30th anniversary of Josh Morrow playing the role of Nicholas, and this is Tina B's 30th birthday on June 26th. Just kidding. I don't know how old you are, Tina, but 30 seems like a good number to just go with. Just tell people. Somebody told me a long time ago that if you're ever going to lie about your age, don't say you're younger, say you're older, because then they'll look at you and go, wow, you look great for your age. Oh, happy 30th birthday, Tina B. You haven't aged a day. Connie says, wow, just wow. Today's walk down memory lane with Sharon and Nick was excellent. The good, the bad, and the ugly format was so well done, and I enjoyed seeing the backstory clips that were new to me, as well as the flashbacks that reminded me of why I love this show. Yes, it was so good. So well done. Daisy says, I loved Nick's trip down memory lane. I love it when they do that. I'm hoping they'll do one for Jill soon. It might take a whole week, though. She's had a lot of things happen, and I think it would be fun to see some of it again. You're right. I don't think Jill has had a special episode. The video calls are not my favorite. I would love to see a flashback show for her, though. With her arriving in person might be nice. Sharon W. says, Y&R did a wonderful job recapturing Joshua Morrow's role as Nick for the past 30 years. I have to say that Josh, Sharon Case, Michelle Stafford, Eric Braden, and Melody Thomas Scott have aged so well. Of course, hair and makeup help. But they are even more attractive than in their youth. And my observation is also that the old stories were good, but a lot of the stories had a lot of sadness in them for years. I'm more of a fan of the show in recent years than in the past shows. Another bravo to Y&R about the last scene on Friday between Nick, Victor, and Nikki. It was such a tender and loving dialogue. It feels good to have an adult child telling his parents thank you and how much he loves and appreciates them. And I loved hearing Nick's parents answering him by telling him how proud they are of him and how much they love him in return. You know what, Sharon, that's a really good point, that the shows of the past were definitely darker. They were definitely sadder. It's lighter these days. Sue W. says, in my opinion, Joshua Morrow was so laughably green when he joined Y&R. And embracing that rawness, the actor came to both develop his talent and define his character. Josh Morrow is now a top-notch natural soap star who's made Nick Newman an integral legacy character. Reminds me to give grace and judgment to the up-and-comers. They may be tomorrow's stars. P.S. Not to ignore Sharon Case. She's gorgeous, uber-talented, and the ageless heart of the beloved Sharon Newman, or whatever her character's last name is. Yes. And Diana says, as I look back on the flashbacks, you can see that some of the characters have had some nose surgeries. I have noticed this with many numerous characters, but now I also think that Nick has as well. His nose and lips, he looked a little different when he was younger, and now his nose looks a little more chiseled and defined. He's a very good-looking guy for sure. Diana, I was secretly thinking the same thing. I didn't notice it about Nick though, but Sharon looks a lot different, and it is just sort of, it's like, oh, that's what Sharon used to look like. To me, Sharon seemed like the biggest change, but you're so right. I mean, everybody does it, and I think Melody Thomas Scott said so in her book. Like, everybody does it. Everybody gets a little bit of nip and tuck. Well, Naomi says, Victor looked slightly amused at his wife and daughter running Newman Media, then flashed a look of vengeance at Nikki. He's mad at Nikki and Jack, and he's going to hurt Nikki for hurting him. Nikki should know this by now. And actually, I think her arms crossed and annoyed look shows that she knows what's coming. She is not the starry-eyed baby of the past. I hope Nikki stands tall and gives Victor a battle of epic proportions. Oh my gosh, Naomi, that's a great descriptor. She's not the starry-eyed baby of the past. Boom. Sharon W. says, well, this is what we were all worried about. None of us wanted Victoria to go back to work. Her ruthlessness, vindictiveness, and jealousy were apparent on Tuesday's show. All Nikki had to do was say that she couldn't make it without Victoria, and also to say that she knows neither of them want to let Adam have the job instead of them. So Victoria will let her mama bear in training slip a bit while she goes back to work to fend off Adam's advances at Newman and to be in a position to argue with Dad's every decision about the workings at Newman. Yes, well, last week I asked you guys if you think that Victoria should return to work. 69% of you say no. Tina Cole says, I don't need to see Victoria back at work. I like seeing some softness with Victoria, and she doesn't need to be a part of Newman Enterprises right now. It would be so much more fun to watch Victoria and Cole get closer, deal with a not smooth transition of introducing Claire to Katie and Johnny, and then the concern of Claire and Kyle getting romantic. I want to see the drama with Victoria, but outside of Newman Enterprises. Yeah, you know, I just like it, the business drama. It is getting a little bit tiring. You know, I like me some business drama, but we do need a break. We need something else. But Michelle says, yes, Victoria must return to work. What else is she going to do? Be a housewife? She's farmed out her kids to boarding school, so she's not housewife material. Victoria is career-minded, plain and simple. Yes, Michelle, and we sure saw that reflected this week. Naomi says, I want Victoria to return to work as the antique art dealer, whatever it was she did years ago. Naomi, that's such a good idea. Victoria returning to work as an art dealer? Ooh, that makes me happy. Oh, here's what makes Dolores happy. Dolores says, oh, happy day. I love it. I love it that Adam, in saying no to Victor, showed what a father does to put the child's needs and concerns above all else. Nothing else is important. And yes, I love that Adam didn't blindly go into accepting Victor's offer without fully knowing what he was getting into and what the overall scheme was about. The most disappointing moment is when Nikki and Victoria will continue to hate on Adam. No room for forgiveness or acceptance, yet no hesitation for Claire. Adam in the past, due to some misguided info, tried to harm Victor, but Claire tried to kill all you Newmans. What hypocrites. I hope Adam keeps wanting more info on Victor's plan and stays out of it overall. Only one can hope. Only can one hope. I guess the question is he going to continue to say no? What happens when Victor does tell him who the revenge plan is against? Would Adam then, I mean, is it a definite no, or is there any chance he would want to get in on it? I just feel like, isn't Adam going to probably agree eventually? I don't know. Sharon W. says, what a cutie. Connor is getting cuter every time he's on air, and finally, a scene where Connor and both parents can be seen with smiles on their faces. And it helps to hear some more familiar examples of OCD explained by a young person. I had a few high school friends who worried about cleanliness, germs, and food safety, etc., and said that the thoughts were a constant torment. But finally, Y&R is letting Connor show some real progress at the clinic, which is making the storyline more tolerable. Now the next thing Y&R needs to do is let the meeting between Adam, Chelsea, and Connor go well. It needs to be 100% positive and uplifting. We've seen enough doom and gloom to last. Yeah, I'm ready for some uplifting here. Diana says, I wonder if Chelsea will be an obstacle for Adam and Sally's relationship. It seems that Connor's mental health issues are gradually bringing Adam and Chelsea together. They even held hands the other day. I feel like this is where the story may be headed. Each time Connor conquers a challenge, it will create some challenges for Adam and Sally. This makes sense as both Adam and Chelsea share this bond with each other over Connor and his well-being. I think we'll be seeing Sally witnessing this transformation between Adam and Chelsea now that she's moved in to Adam's apartment. Yeah, that sure seems like it's being foreshadowed, doesn't it? Well, let's move to talking about Kyle. Sherrod says, this temper tantrum that Kyle is throwing about his mother's position at Chabot makes no sense. He's the one that told his father to give her the job because he was not ready to be back in charge. I remember the conversation. They were all sitting around the table as society. This storyline of Victor seeking revenge on Jack with the help of Kyle and Adam is stupid. Kyle has already betrayed Jack by working for Victor before at Newman Media, and they fired him. Victor literally told Kyle that he didn't belong with his company because he was an Abbott. Adam has a decent relationship with Jack. He has acted like a surrogate father at times. I don't want to see him willingly hurting Jack. I hope Audra and Kyle will lose everything. It would serve them right. Two spiteful, whiny, entitled brats. Yeah. Like, Kyle literally said, I want you to have this position, Mom. And now, a couple months later, he's turning around and he told Claire that, like, the way he represented how it all went down to Claire was totally false. He's the one that recommended Diane for the job, for crying out loud. Sharon W. says, after Thursday's show, I'm thinking that Victor has a twofold plan for having Kyle work at Glissade in his plan to overtake Chabot. He's trying to get Kyle back with Audra to keep him away from Claire. She is Victor's newest family member, and he will take all necessary steps to keep Claire under his wing. Besides that, he knows the heartbreak that Jack's son has caused for Summer, and he doesn't want to have Kyle cause the same heartbreak for Claire. Ooh, that's an interesting idea and perspective, and you're right. Victor probably does have that in his mind. Ooh. Well, Dolores says, Audra, it has happened that your smile turned into a frown. Oh, what a bruising you got. All of your dreams and plans regarding Glissade is moot. Tucker gave you the company free and clear, but you were so arrogant and filled with contempt that you failed to see that it was more of a winner than what you're now a part of. So sad you made your bed, so now you've got to lie in it. Tucker wasn't as bad as you thought, and you weren't as smart as you thought. You should have remembered the fatal end to your best bud Nate that he had with the great Victor Newman. Ooh, burn for Audra. She did have it coming. Victoria says, though, but the question is, would Tucker really have given over Glissade, as he said? Tucker, a man of his word? I think not. I see it a little differently. There certainly is emotional abuse involved. For example, Tucker revengefully took over Chancellor Industries in a hostile stock takeover from Catherine. He initiated the divorce from Ashley as soon as she told him her plans to remain in the family business. Tucker is impulsive at times, but almost always self-centered. And Sue W., the voice of reason on both of those points, says, I agree that Tucker always puts himself first. I think Audra always puts herself first. So, win, lose, or draw, I don't feel too bad or too sad for either of them. They each approach life as one big chess game, much the same as Victor does. Yeah. And Sherrod says, I believe that Tucker was being genuine and honest with being willing to give Audra the company. She made a huge mistake getting involved with Victor. This viper would eat his own if it suited him, just ask Adam. Yeah, and it's just a shame that we're not going to continue to be able to see any of the fallout from this. Dolores says, for me, it's such sad news. I just read that Trevor St. John's leaving Y&R. His time in Genoa City has come to an end. Thank you, Trevor St. John, for a great time and an awesome performance in your portrayal of Tucker McCall. For me, you will be missed. Oh, yes, from the moment he came in on the helicopter, he was so good and so right. I just can't believe that Y&R would make this decision. But Gary says, the actors always end up going once the audience finally has a reason to like the character. Y&R might have been willing to offer him some big bucks to stay. Oh, Gary, that is so correct. It's like the second we start really liking somebody, boom, they're gone. Ugh. Well, Victoria says, I hope the continuation of Ashley's storyline doesn't happen off screen. I want to know from Ashley what the past trauma was. Eileen Davidson deserves a vacation, but not a pink slip. Yeah, we're getting a lot of talk of Ashley and, peeling through like what her childhood traumas are, but we're not seeing any of it on screen. You make a good point, though. Eileen Davidson probably needs a break. But the way they film things these days, that the actor could go on a break for a month and we'd never know it in screen time. T. Nicole says, Alan asked Tracy out to dinner. Tracy's going on a date and she doesn't even know it's a date yet. That's kind of the cute thing about them. I don't think either one of them realize that they're dating, and yet they are. Victoria says, finally Abby is acknowledged by the writers. Billy showed so little sympathy or understanding when Abby remarked about all the times the Abbotts and Newmans did not inform her of important family news. Billy would be outraged if the situation was reversed. Abby has the right to be frustrated and disappointed, showing her maturity. Showing her maturity, she acknowledged Chucker's warning. This was bittersweet to her because if it had been anyone else, Abby would have been more proactive. Abby's attitude toward Tucker may soften now. Yeah, but we'll never see it. Oh, and Brent says, maybe I'm being too harsh because of my own grown daughter's relationship with her mother, but why does Abby need for someone in her extended family to tell her what's going on in her mother's life? Honestly, did she not even talk to her mom for days or weeks? If so, how could she not know that something was wrong? My daughter talks to FaceTimes, messages, group chats with her own mother dozens of times a week, if not day. Okay, slight exaggeration, but still. Yeah, it seems like it was a conscious decision maybe just to leave Abby out of it. But otherwise, why wouldn't she just naturally be talking to her mom all the time? Hasn't she noticed that mom hasn't answered the calls, or has she even tried? We don't know. We just don't know. Oh, let's end talking on Claire. Gary says, don't think that the siblings ever received their gifts. Which was cagey on Claire's part. It would have only made Katie more contemptuous, though Johnny may have liked his new red lunchbox. Way to zero in on those important details, Gary. The kids never got their gifts. Dolores says, hey, Victoria, what about Reed? Don't you think he needs to come home or know that he has a big sister also? Have you told Claire about your other son? Just asking. Yeah, I do think they mentioned Reed, but he certainly hasn't shown up in the flesh. And okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Victoria says, note to wardrobe. Police stop dressing Haley Aaron in Little House on the Prairie clothing. We get it. Claire missed her childhood. We know Claire is trying to get as much mommy and daddy time as she can. Haley Aaron deserves to wear beautiful, stylish clothes, and the viewers would like a chance to admire them. This was the most heinous shirt heard around the world. Everybody was like, oh, what? When she stepped into scene wearing that shirt. Diana says, where is this show going with this wardrobe from the 1800s to make her look sweet and innocent? It looks very phony and unnatural. Nobody anywhere wears this top. Diana. But have you considered that maybe when Claire is done nannying Harrison at the end of the day, that she goes out to the barn to milk the cows and then to carry the pails back to the tack house? And if that's the case, then I'd say she's dressed perfectly. Oh my goodness, you guys are a hoot. You guys are a bona fide hoot. Thank you so much for your awesome comments. And hey, if you've got a comment that you want to get in, you should go to yrchat.com to let it out. We want to hear your perspective too. And hey, if you enjoyed that trip down memory lane with Nick and Sharon, I talked about Nick and Sharon and some of their early days in the poolside special episode that you can get at genoacitysoap.com. We talked about Sharon's birthday party right when she and Nick were just dating, and I definitely tangented on about the Cassie stuff, and there was a lot of Y&R Chat. There was a lot of Y&R Chat about the early Nick and Sharon days in that special episode, and new chat too. I much like the Nick special episode, I pulled old Y&R Chat clips and I went back and narrated through some of it. So if you're in the mood for nostalgia, genoacitysoap.com, yrchat.com for your comments and the polls and the quotes and all of that good stuff. And you don't even have to do any of that. You could just come back next Sunday and we will enjoy another brand new Y&R Chat together. Okay, you guys, I hope you all have a wonderful first full week of summer. I love you, and I will see you next Sunday.